रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast is brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां. रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
Hi, my name is George Abraham and welcome to Eyeway Conversations. My guest today is Mujtaba merchant, who also calls himself Mr. Kane. He is a project management professional, an accessibility advocate, and does a lot of work in diversity and inclusion within his company. Hi, Mujtaba, welcome.
Hi, George. Glad to meet you.
So, Mujtaba, you started your career in an IT company. What were you doing? Were you in HR or marketing or IT?
George, I started my career as an HR consultant and mainly dealt with recruitment. But I used to recruit both for the IT as well as the non-IT industry. That's how I started my career.
And what had you studied? Meaning, was it a regular degree or you did something in management?
Yes, I did my bachelor's in business management, where I specialized in human resources and marketing.
How long were you into your professional life when you actually had your sight loss?
My sight loss is, I would still say, is quite recent. It was in the year 2011, but I believe I started working 2002, if I'm not mistaken. 94, I finished my schooling and then finished my pre-university 2 years of that. Yeah, somewhere around 2002 is when I started working, and 2011 is when I lost my sight due to a medical complication called glaucoma.
So, when this eye condition happened, was there time lost in brooding over it and feeling sorry for yourself, or you got on with life?
Oh no, that was a very traumatic experience that I had because I was at the age of 35 and I had just joined a new company and I was about to be promoted. There was a very big client meeting that was centered around me. I had a family and I also had a child at that time. And this sudden sight loss put a break on all my ambitions and plans, and I was left wondering what happened, that kind of kind of stoked in terms of where life is going to be next. So yeah, I did have approximately a week and a half or more of trying to accept the fact of the sight loss, and then that there is no return in terms of gaining my vision back. So we did consult a lot of doctors in the process, and we got the same feedback that once you lose sight due to glaucoma, there's no way of you regaining your vision back. We did try alternative medicines like Ayurveda and homeopathy and all that, but the general understanding was there is no possibility of regaining sight. So yeah, it was a week and a week and a half.
If you know of anyone with vision impairment who needs guidance on living life with blindness, please share the Eyeway National Toll-Free Helpline number 1-800-5320-469. The number is 1-800-5320-469. You have recovered and you're back in full flight as far as life is concerned. So, what were the steps or organizations or people who actually helped you kind of get back onto your feet?
I would like to start with my immediate family. That would be my parents, who were the pillars of my support. Unfortunately, I had to end the marriage that I had at that time because they were very insecure about what I would be doing in life, and I had no answers at that time. Parents took a lot of effort in trying to get in touch with a lot of hospitals and other institutions that could probably help with my condition. They've also been through that trauma of, their son losing their sight. So they also had to accept things quite early. One of my cousin brothers and my aunt, my mother's sister, was with me as another supporting pillar. And my cousin brother is the one who found out about the National Association for the Blind, and I was advised to take up my mobility and orientation training from them. That was that was the first experience I had with the white cane, which is a mobility aid that I use today to get from point A to point B. Um, that training was for around 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, and the trainers there were very, very accommodating. And I remember my first question to my instructor that, if I can't see, how will I be able to walk? So he said, "My dear friend, you need legs to walk, not eyes." And that changed my perspective altogether, And I accepted the cane very early because I know that is something that is going to add value to the current given situation, and is going to empower me to be independent. Post that, once I was, confident of my mobility and orientation, I also got to know from the same institution that they have training for computers using an assistive technology called a screen reader, and this was something really new to me. I was a video gamer, an avid video gamer when I had sight. I know about artificial intelligence and things like that, but I was surprised that, not exactly surprised, but I was like, fortunate to have that exposure to that technology that would enable me to use computers again. And another fortunate incident is that the institute that I trained on the screen reading technology was a lane away, or a lane or a block away from where I stay. So I had good access to their facility. This was an institution by the name Enable India. That's where I trained. And for me, the training was cut short because I already knew the basics of computers. I knew what things were on, and so I had to just train on the screen reading technology. And that, I think, was around for another 6 months. So overall, a year of rehabilitation is what happened, as far as things went, in kind of rehabilitating me back to understanding my disability and being able to empower myself in terms of being able to use technology and being able to independently uh, do things.
I've noticed that you often refer to yourself on various platforms as Mr. Kane. What's the
Yeah,
story?
yeah, yes, very true. So it was a name that I christened myself post my disability or my sight loss. Uh, uh, it's Mr. spelled Mistr. It's not abbreviated to Mr. dot. And Kane is spelled Kayne, Kane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a unique name that I go by, and I use this name a lot within the community. A lot of them know me as Mr. Kane within the blind community, as well as online. That's where I use this name. I write a lot of blogs, and I publish a lot of blogs under that name. So that's how that name came about, because I accepted the Kane, and the Kane has become, part of me. So I just happen to spell Kane differently.
So you.
Something something inspired by a WWF wrestler, I think so. Yeah,
So
that's
you alluded to writing of a blog. What do you write on the blog? What's your blog called, and what do you write about?
the blog has a very big title. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it right, but I'll give you the blog address. It's www.mr hyphen kayne .blogspot.com, and the blog is titled "The Somebody, Everybody, and Nobody's Blog." And and what I write about, I have a section on how I acquired my disability and how I dealt with it. I write about technology. I write about a lot of humorous and obnoxious experiences that I've had with my blindness, like entering to the ladies' toilet instead of the gents' toilet and what happened after that. So there's a lot of blind bloopers, and then I maintain a notebook. So that's my maybe everyday experience, or maybe something that I wanted to share, that's come to my mind. So I write a lot of that on the website. And I've with this particular journey, I've got a lot of experience in not only imagining my world without sight, but imagining the world how it would be if I still had sight. So it's quite a few topics that are really good to be indulging in.
After your break from your profession, you've gone back to the same company and worked. So tell me a little bit about what was your journey back into your professional life?
Yeah, that was something I would say I'm privileged to be back working, back with the same organization, because the organization believes in inclusion, and it is an organization that's been there for more than 100 years, I believe. So the re-employment was not much of a challenge, because I already worked with the same people. I worked with the same company, although being it only for a year. But I was able to convince them about my skills, and they knew my performance from the past. So they readily hired me. It took a little time for me to adjust to the new work environment, because I was not doing what I was doing earlier. And I had to take up a new role and understand new processes that needed to be done in terms of job role. Um, yeah, so even though that first few days or first few weeks of employment were trying to get things set up post the induction, in terms of arranging the software, the screen reading software, and orienting me to the office, and areas of interest in the in the building. So yeah, that was the kind of I had a lot of support from my colleagues as well as leadership. That's something that I really appreciate till date.
So your level of work, was it compromised because of your blindness when you rejoined?
I would say yes, because the kind of work I was doing was more to do with market research, and it had to do with a lot of presentations which had graphs and numbers and statistics in it. So it was more like market reports that I used to create using PowerPoint. And PowerPoint being a very visual tool, and you had to place a lot of graphs and data in a presentable manner. So that kind of becomes difficult for somebody who is totally visually impaired. However, it's not that you cannot use PowerPoint altogether, but these aspects of the presentation, you would have to take help from people who could see or are sighted to be able to get through. So I didn't want to take up that challenge, and I felt that I would rather take up a kind of a role where I'd be more into what my passion is as such, people management. And so I joined as a project management executive, where I take care of the compliance for my whole business unit. And I also take care of allocation, which means to say how many people are seated under which project, and also take care of their training needs, allocate training to them. So that's the kind of role as of now that I am doing currently.
And what do you see yourself going forward? Any kind of aspirations?
Yeah, I have already set my aspirational career goal to get into client engagements, where I have acquired a competency in transition management. Now I'm training on a technology, although I do not come from a technology background. I am training on cloud technology, and I've taken up a certification on Microsoft Azure. This is the first step. So the aspirational role would be as a client engagement manager, and I'm hoping to be in sales because I think I can do a good job there.
You talked about doing a lot of work in the area of diversity and inclusion within your organization. Can you tell us a little bit about what exactly have you been doing?
Oh, that's been the really exciting thing about being engaged with this organization because diversity and inclusion talks more about racial as well as gender gaps in the organization.
Yeah,
Very rarely spoken about is disability, and it's a topic that they'd rather not touch for its challenges that it poses. So I do a lot of connects in terms of sensitizing work groups or projects on disability inclusion. Probably break a lot of myths by telling them like, look, I work just like you. The only difference is that I use a separate tool called a screen reader to help me use the computer. So that being said, I've also been a part of an initiative, organizational wide initiative, which is to do with hiring of persons with disability, where we look at approaching hiring not based on disability. So we're not mapping jobs to disability, but we are mapping skills to jobs. So that's the approach we are doing, and it's kicked off very well, and the whole organization has bought into the initiative, and we've already started, channeling resources to various projects and business units within the organization. We've had good success with that. So I was a part of that thought leadership team.
you've also been quite active when it comes to accessibility advocacy. I've also seen you very aggressively tweeting about it. What are the kind of breakthroughs you've got in this direction?
I have been a strong supporter of the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which is GAD. And I do a lot of talks within the community and circles and my network on accessibility. Once upon a time, I was a privileged customer of this ride application called Ola,
Yeah,
and yeah, ever since they had broken the accessibility with that, it really kind of hindered my ability to get to places because I can't drive anymore, or nor can I ride anymore.
yeah.
So I was completely reliant on that service, on getting from. I kind of didn't experience much of public transport, and I was very apprehensive about using such transport to get to point A to point B. But the few experiences that I've had with public transport, I've been always been assisted, by either the passengers or the conductor of these on these rides. But with these private players, it was difficult with Ola. But now, I'm not saying that my experience with the drivers is bad, but it's the app that is totally inaccessible. A lot of other services that we heavily rely on to get our day-to-day lives done are inaccessible. So I feel there's a lot of ignorance in terms of awareness, creating awareness. So I do write to a lot of companies on accessibility. I do provide a lot of resources, and I do a lot of advocacy work on various platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. So, in terms of success, I can't take complete ownership of success because there are other people that I associate with who also strongly support this cause, and somewhere down the line things work out in terms of accessibility. So I don't have anything in terms of credit towards the success as of now.
To support our work with the blind and visually impaired, you can visit the donate page on our website www.support.eyeway.in. scorefoundation.org.in. Please note www.scorefoundation.org.in.
Working is one thing. You keep yourself busy, and I'm sure there's struggles in terms of traveling, commuting, and all that. How do you release the tension? Meaning, are there sources of entertainment that you kind of invested in, or do you do any kind of reading just to let the tension off?
What I try to do as far as unwinding is concerned, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I watch a lot of movies on Amazon Prime and Netflix. Some of them are audio described, some of them are not. I also spend a lot of time with my wife and kid. I have a 5-year-old daughter, so I engage a lot with them. I do a lot of dining out. I do a lot of socializing with my friends. So yeah, that helps me unwind. Unfortunately, I haven't taken a vacations yet. So the only place I have been to after post-blindness was to Bombay, and that was to basically get hitched. That is that get married with to my wife. So that was the only travel I had post-blindness.
Yeah, I just was also wondering, you mentioned that when you lost your sight, you had to kind of break your marriage because of the uncertainties of the future. So how did you actually get married again? And is there a story behind this, or was it some kind of an arranged affair?
Uh, you will not believe it, George. I did fall in love post-blindness too.
Yeah,
But this time it was nothing to do with the physical appearance of a person, but how was able to connect emotionally as well as intellectually.
right.
And unfortunately, things were going south in terms of that relationship because we had a lot of differences in terms of being able to connect. But this marriage happened after 5 years of my employment, and that's when I felt confident I'm ready to take up a new responsibility. And this happened through an common friend of the family. So it was more of an arranged marriage than a love marriage. And uh, to be honest, at that point of time, I was in a very huge dilemma whether I should marry somebody with a visual impairment or should I marry somebody with sight. So I wasn't able to decide. I said, whatever comes my way, I should first see that it is something that we can commit to. So that was the date at that time. So it was arranged. It was arranged.
And what's it like to be a father? You said you have a 5-year-old daughter.
Parenthood is a full-time job. Trust me, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, they were not kidding. So yeah, she's a handful, and I have held her from the time she was born. Now she is engaged with her schooling, her friends. She's 5 years old. We just had a birthday party last year in the month of May. It was a grand celebration, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, playing with her, interacting with her, and she understanding about her father not being able to see. And it's a journey, and she still feels that her father's a Superman in some way or the other. Because whenever her mother tells her something, she always comes running to me with her confession. Like,
Hmm.
this is what happened today, and we have these nice conversations. And she won't sleep alone on her cot. She wants to sleep next to me, so she is very attached in that way.
And as she grows up, do you see yourself playing a role in her studies and her extracurricular activities and so on?
Yes, in fact, I am integral part of her education. So the school that she's enrolled in gives me updates on an app on the mobile,
Yeah.
which wasn't accessible. Oh, good! I got one success story in terms of accessibility advocacy. So I spoke to them and I told them, please ask your team to just check on how they can make these applications accessible. And So most of their portions and everything comes to me on the app. And then my wife does help with the writing, whereas I help with the revision in terms of oral and spellings. And I play quizzes with her in terms of, can you tell me a two-letter word, starting with T, things like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's the role I play. As far as extracurricular activities, we play things like passing the ball. Passing the ball is with a normal ball, not with the ball with has a bell on it. So it's the normal ball. So it's always me who loses that passing the ball game because I don't catch it. I don't catch the ball. But now she's learned a new clever technique. She rolls the ball towards me or hands it to my hand by giving, and then we play rock paper scissors, and we also do a lot of uh, exercises together. In fact, she's my yoga guru. So she teaches me whatever she watches on YouTube. She tells me where to put my hand and how to put my leg, how to position the parts of my body
Hmm.
to get into the posture.
That sounds interesting. And on that note of the family, I think we will move on. Thank you very much for giving us the time to speak with you, and wish you the very best as you move on, both professionally and with your family. Take care.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast was brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का